But learning the skills and the journey and what you learn on the journey is that's the reward, because
Mm,
it moves you so fast. It moves you
man,
so fast. And it prevents you from, typically, if you pay attention, it prevents you from ever going down.
yeah.
Transformational change, a total 180.
Hey, my friend, welcome back to another Total 180 interview. My name is Adam C. Scott, founder of the Total 180, helping you use the expertise that you gained from the military to start an ebook course or coaching program in 90 days or less. And I got an incredible banger. You guys have no idea how long I've been trying to get this guy on an interview, but I was able to somehow manage him. This gentleman is a Marine Corps veteran. He served over 8 years in Marine Corps. He's helped over 1,800 businesses. He's done 8 years in marketing. The guy is a certified genius at what he does. He's going to give you so much game about marketing and how to excel your marketing. So without further ado, let's introduce Mr. Patrick Burt to the Total 180 interview, brother. How are you, man?
Oh, doing good, doing good. I'm definitely feeling that caffeine kicking, getting them jitters. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Patrick, for those of my audience that don't know you, briefly kind of tell us a little bit about who you are, what it is you do, and then how it is that you got to doing what it is that you do.
oh boy. So I guess a little bit about me. I mean, just like you said, I mean, Marine Corps veteran, been in marketing for a little bit over 8 years. I kind of lost count of how many businesses I've done. I mean, I'd say currently I'm saying like 1850 something. I don't know. It's a lot. But man, the story of how I got started in this stuff's really, really funny, because I'll be upfront. Growing up, I was not business minded. I was the laziest person you could think of. All I did in high school, man, I played World of Warcraft all day. I wasn't anything special. And the reason why I like to point that out and kind of out myself is, look, you don't have to be anything. You don't have to be some big genius type guy in order to make some money to go out there and do things, right? Um, but I fell into this kind of the same way a lot of people fall into this, just opportunity, happenstance. Geez, what did it? I was in the barracks one day, and I had a buddy hit me up. And he's like, "Hey man, you want to make some money?" And obviously a good friend from high school. He's doing, I mean, on his Facebook, he's flying private jets and stuff, and he's like 20, and I'm like, sure, And so he's like, well, we've got this thing that I'm trying to think of, and it's like marketing. We're gonna help people. I think we started with getting Instagram followers, right? And he's like, "You want to make money?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'm just day drinking in the barracks, so let's get it." And that's how I started. No sales experience, no nothing. Just stumbled into it, and I moved from there. Um, but man, I mean, like I said, that was several years ago, and look at me now. Like you can do it. Like
and,
um,
and and it's so important that you pointed that out because a lot of people, they think that they have to have this huge following, this huge audience to get started, and nobody's going to believe them. But we all have to start from ground zero.
mhm.
So I'm pretty sure, there's more to your story that we're going to get into. But I
Oh
want to
yeah.
kind of highlight how you started out into wanting to join the military. So for those of us that are in the military or are veterans, it's always unique to hear people's story about why they joined, how they joined, how the recruiter got a hold of them. So
Oh
I want to
boy.
kind of ask you, like, what was it like? Like, what made you want to join the Marine Corps opposed to any other branches? And was it maybe a family member, maybe a
Oh
relative
yeah.
that was in the
I mean,
military?
it was pretty cut and dry for me. So I mean, I'm a third generation Marine. So my dad, he served in Desert Storm time frame, and then my grandfather served in like Vietnam time frame. And I think my great grandfather was Navy. So, but I don't really know too much about that far back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was funny because as my recruiter told me, he's like, you were my saving grace, because I walked into him. I'm like, look, I know I want to join. This is what I want to do. I know I don't want to be infantry. I don't want, give me something with tech, computers. I'm smart, right? And I got like I don't know, like a 70 something on my ASVAB. I'm not the smartest, but that's better than some.
Yeah, definitely,
you know.
definitely.
So yeah, I mean, I was talking to him and he's like, cool, I couldn't do a single pull-up, I couldn't do my crunches, I couldn't do my run. I was hell out of shape. It was terrible. But I do remember it was really funny because, as a recruiter, their main job is they got to relate to you some way, right? And so he's trying to talk to me because everybody that joins the Marines, they're into guns or cars or fighting or something, and I'm like, oh nah, man, I like to play Dungeons and Dragons in World of Warcraft. And he's like, what the fuck? So
Yeah.
this man, he told me after that he went to research World of Warcraft just so that he could talk to me about it. Just so that just so that he could
Wow.
kind of relate to me. And I think that's the funniest thing ever because he was like a 6'4" just monster, right? And that is not his style.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was easy, man. I went in. I mean, I already again, I was a saving grace for him because apparently if I wouldn't have joined, he wouldn't have hit his quota. But I was like, I want to join. I already know, blah blah blah. Let's go. Sign, sure, whatever. The only stipulation, like I said, is my dad's like, you can't go infantry. That's the only thing. I'm like, all right, easy.
So you joined the Marines, and this is straight out of high school, or did you decide to go to college, or you just went straight out of high school?
Oh, nah. See, I knew if I went to college, I would have drank and partied the whole time. So I was smart. And I joined the Marines, drank and partied, and got paid. So
I spit on that. I spit on that, and then travel for free on top of it.
yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly.
So you joined the Marines out of high school, and you did 8 years. At what point in your Marine, career did you know that maybe you didn't want to do the whole infamous 20 and
Right.
like, you know what, I think I'm gonna try my hand and do something else?
So it was actually really early on. So in my schooling, because I was a ground side calibrator, so our schooling was like 9 months, right? And I think in like month 8, I broke my arm, and
Mm.
so I had to stay back for about a year. I was on med hold. Um, and it was like in that time, I'm like, this just ain't for me. Like it's fun, it's cool, but I'm seeing how things can really be versus the rose tinted goggles. And it was kind of at that point where I'm like, I I wouldn't mind staying in, but if I could find something else because I'm starting to see, and I kind of got a little bit of a hunger because I was introduced into I mean like most people, man, I got jumped into network marketing. And it's interesting because I didn't like network marketing, but it was the first time that I ever had the thought that I can do something else on my own. And I'm
Mm.
like, that was the craziest thought to me because I never had that before. Like I said, growing up, I mean, I didn't have like a crazy rough lifestyle, like that, but like I just, I never was ambitious or anything like that. And that first thought of I can do more uh blew my mind.
Mm.
And I would say that was the first thing that ever planted the seed of like, yeah, see what you can do, and I was 19.
Wow. So your first taste at what many might call entrepreneurship is network marketing. So did you make any money when you had first got into that
Oh
first
hell no.
company?
The first one I was ever in, it was the funniest thing because I got in, I think I was in it for like a few weeks. I tried to talk to a few people and all, but I was in like I think it was like a Facebook group or something. And
Mm-hmm.
one day I just saw somebody posting like, "Hey, I haven't been paid." And then a few other people were like, "Oh yeah, the owner died." So sorry. Like I'm like, "What?"
The owner just passed away, man. He
He
took all
died,
the money,
so
man. What's going
nobody,
what's going
sorry.
on? What about money, man?
Yeah, nobody makes money.
Oh God. So you left that.
Oh yeah.
And after that, well, how many years were you in the Marine Corps at the time? when you had first got
That
your
was like a year and a half.
year and a half? So year and a half in the Marine Corps, you got your first taste of entrepreneurship. When was the next time you started making your money outside of what you were making in Marine? Was it another network marketing? Did you start,
Yeah,
side
so
hustles or?
it was another one. I can't remember the year, but whenever I jumped over to Japan, I fell in with another guy, and he was actually making money, and it was in person, so it wasn't like I found this guy on Facebook and blah blah blah. But he's like, hey, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is how it's working. Like you can physically see me. Like here's the check, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I got in on that, and with that one, I did jump in on some things. I made probably like $1,500 in like a weekend just getting some of my friends on board.
Wow.
And the guy that got me was like really, really excited because obviously he's making a piece of that too. But he was like, I've never seen somebody like that was able to just talk. And that was the first time that I ever realized that like I guess I have a knack for talking to people. Like I have a personality, right?
Mm.
Because like I said before, I mean, I was a loser in high school, so like I didn't do shit. So, but even in high school, I was always able to make friends with people, even though I wasn't on the football team. Like I had people that were there that I could just talk with. I was very relatable. So I learned that. That was the first time I ever really saw that. And then yeah, I jumped into it, made some money, but then I realized I'm like, this is kind of a nasty feeling. So bounced out of that.
Mm.
But but yeah, and then shortly after, oh, I forgot about this actually. So shortly after, I had a buddy from high school,
Mhm.
and so we started kind of working together. And the first thing that I ever did with him was I was selling phone unlocks. And this was back in the day when that was like a big thing. Because now obviously you buy a phone, you can have the phone and you can go take it to whatever carrier you want. Back in the day, it used to be like the phone, the Verizon, they'd have a little thing and it would unlock the phone. And he had connections with all the people and all the carriers.
Wow.
So we would go, flip unlocks, and it was cool because over in Japan they have a SoftBank, I think it is, and he had one of the keys to unlock SoftBank, and like nobody else did, and so we made some money with that, but then yeah, right after that, he hit me up with what was it? Instagram. He's like, you want to learn some stuff on marketing? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I started talking to people on Instagram, and we were kind of essentially selling followers. This was back before that was known to be a terrible thing to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
um but we'd sell some followers and like help them out a little bit, and then it evolved from there to more marketing, and we would help with businesses with their online presence, and we would help with like, we're going to get you on Google, we're going to get you on Yelp, we're going to get you on Bing. And that was in like 2015, 16, that it really started to like come together. And then
And you're still in the Marine Corps at this time, right?
yeah, I was still active.
Okay. Okay.
So because I mean I was over in Barstow, it was funny, like Barstow is a very, very tiny base, and like nobody really gives a shit over there.
Yeah.
So I'm over there doing guard duty, and like slinging deals on my phone while I'm on guard duty, like
Wow.
on Facebook. And yeah, I mean we were doing some basic stuff with that, and it wasn't until I actually got out that we had like software. But yeah, it was doing that while you're active is rough. It was.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, most people like you and I can relate to this is like most people don't have their time freedom. So like even if like for me and you, like when we making money and growing in business while we're still in the military, there's a limitation to that because you have duty, you
Correct.
have watch, you have deployments, you have underways, you have debts. It's just like you can never get a rhythm. You can't really, it's very, very difficult to build momentum. I remember
Oh yeah.
um, I was in a network marketing company and I just started growing a team. I was making a lot of sales. Boom, deployment.
Yep.
And literally my team died. And so I want you to kind of talk about something that you highlighted earlier. You said you kind of moved away from doing network marketing after you didn't want to feel like it's very predatory. Um, so if you can just kind of talk about why network marketing slash MLM industry is a very dangerous way, or a maybe not the best terminology, but an inefficient way
Right,
to
right.
run a business.
I mean, especially if that's going to be like having it as my first thing that I've ever done, I've noticed that it can open the eyes of people and it can teach people. However, it's not necessarily the best way to teach. I look at it more as, okay, to learn not to touch hot things, you touch a stove and you burn yourself, right?
Right.
But by burning yourself, you therefore know for sure you learned a whole bunch of stuff. Like, don't do that. And that's kind of how it was with network marketing. Like, again, it was the first time that I opened my eyes to like, hey, I have this personality, I can talk. But I then realized that some of the people that I was like getting on board, they didn't have that. They didn't have the intellect. They didn't have the thinking capabilities. And so that's why I say I felt predatory. Like I felt like I was just preying on stupid people, right? But
Yeah.
and so that's really why I left. And I mean, it's it's something that if you have no other opportunity, but you're like, I just kind of want to learn something. And typically from what I've seen, I've never seen somebody go for network marketing. It's always they fall into network marketing.
Mm,
Um, so like, I mean, one thing, of course, you're not an actual business owner there, you're just direct sales.
yeah.
So like you don't actually own anything. So for a lot of people that go into that thinking that they're going to be able to build this thing, it's like, hey, it can all crumble down in a moment. Now I will say that it is a little bit different from affiliate marketing because you can scale up affiliate marketing and affiliate stuff a lot easier. But even, I've worked with people in network marketing while I've been a marketer, and I've worked with some successful people. But the biggest thing that they do differently is they don't care about building a team. They take the product and they just sell the product, and they treat it like an affiliate. Just like the Amazon stuff. Like they don't care about saying that I own Amazon. They're just like, look, I'm trying to sell this product, and then they just build a stream to sell the product. And they separate themselves from the name and the schemes and all
Yeah.
that, and those are the only successful people. Um, I mean, of course, you get the people that are trying to sell other people, and then it's just the blind leading the blind leading the blind. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's
And
weird,
it's kind of like you said, it's not actual ownership.
right?
Because if you can't control how much you make, you can't control the compensation, you don't own your clients, you don't own your customers, you don't own the product. What actually do you own? Because part of being an entrepreneur is upgrading to a business owner. Because it,
Hmm.
like you and I probably both know the difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner,
Right, right,
right?
right.
There is a difference. Most people say, "Oh, I'm an entrepreneur, business owner." No, there's a difference between the
There's
two.
a big difference.
So if you can educate my audience, what would you say are the biggest marketing differences between being an entrepreneur and being a business owner?
From marketing, I mean, I wouldn't say that there's too much from a marketing perspective. However, the biggest thing that I'll line out is a business owner has a system.
Mm,
A business owner can have a system that works without them. An entrepreneur is typically somebody that will innovate on something. They'll create something on their own, or they'll just like throw some shit together, right? And so an entrepreneur, it's going to be a little bit more tricky because again, in a business owner, you already have typically a proven system, like franchises. Hey, I'm already uh I'm a mechanic, so like I have a mechanic business. Well, mechanics have been around for hundreds, 200, thousands of years. I don't know, maybe not thousands, but
yeah.
maybe. But they've been around for a long time, so you're not necessarily having to innovate as much, and you have a proven system. An entrepreneur, software, you're getting into tech, you're getting into, let's just like make some new, you're making systems. So from a marketing perspective, you have to switch things up and you have to get really creative, because you're going to have to think of new things to do in order to advertise the innovations, versus a business owner. They can rely on, oh, well, I'm a mechanic. Everybody knows what a mechanic does. So you're not necessarily having to market significantly. You're just having to say, I'm better than the other guy. As an entrepreneur, you're going to have to do, hey, I'm better than the old way of doing this, and I'm better than the other guys. But here's how this works. And so there's a lot of education in that. But that's how I'd break it down from a marketing perspective, you know?
And another good analogy is like the difference between a real estate investor and a real estate broker, or real estate or realtor. Like a real estate, agent is always going to be the ones that go out to sell a house. They're going to make their little money, but the realtor, they own kind of like a system that other real estate agents become a part of to make money. Because at the end of the day, when you are an owner, it's yours. Like I heard something that was so profound, and I want you to kind of expound on it before we kind of get deeper into what it is that you do. And most people don't understand this, but when you go to most stores, markets, and places where you can go buy stuff, you don't necessarily buy a product, you're buying a name, right? So we know some of the most profound names in the game: Kraft Foods, Kellogg's, P&G, which is Procter and Gamble. You got Hilton, which is a last name. You got Marriott, which is a last name. You got Wells Fargo, which is 2 last names. You got Rolls Royce, which is 2 last names. So most people are under the ideology like, wait a minute, I'm not even buying a product, I'm buying a name. So
actually, to touch on that, I saw a video the other day on this. I don't 100% know how true it is, but I can see it. It was going over how, I think it was like, I can't remember the exact names, but you have like Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Prada and all that. And it was like several of these come out of the same factory. And there's really nothing different or proprietary about them. They come out of the same thing, but they have different names. And, of course they have different stuff and designs and all, but it's like they come from the same place. And, you're not spending $1,000 on just a wallet. You're spending $1,000 on a name. Mean, it's Louis Vuitton, so it's different, and I mean, it's just, AMG, like, you can get a normal Mercedes for $30,000, but you tack on AMG to it, boom, 20 grand markup, right? So I mean, you're spot on with that.
With the names, because most people, they don't see the power of a name. And I want to, this is where I really want to get into your story, bro. How do you make a name for yourself online if you're just starting out? So you are a certified marketing expert, in my opinion. And I want you to kind of tell people, like we talked about the power of having a name. So if you're somebody that's just getting started out, whether it's online business, marketing, sales, lead generation, customer acquisition, client ascension, whatever it is that you do, how do you build a name for yourself if you have no following, no audience, nothing?
Gotcha. So funny enough, whenever I originally got started with everything, I had my old Facebook, which I think it's still out there somewhere. But oh boy, is that, whew. I mean, like I said, I was a goofy kid. So, I mean, I got pictures of me with video games and onesies and fucking weird shit, right? So first things first, I'm like, well, I got to reset that, because ain't nobody going to buy something from a kid in a onesie, right? But so I started from scratch. And the first thing that I realized, my first big thing or hurdle, was I need to get people to trust me. Even if I'm not even selling anything, I just need to get people to trust me. So I realized, obviously, just like everybody does, like, hey, I tried just pitch in, and I'm like, this don't work. And then I realized that in order to build this trust, one of the best things that I could do is position myself as an expert. And even though I might not be the biggest expert, I know more than somebody, right? So I'm like, I can start trying to teach people. And doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter if you're a mechanic, doesn't matter if you make glasses, it doesn't matter if you're the freaking the one of those dog pooper scooper businesses, right? There's always something that you can teach somebody else. And if you can focus on teaching them something, then that's going to position you as knowing more than whoever is reading it. And that's really all that it takes. Because if they see you as, hey, he taught me something, like you might not remember their name of your first grade teacher, but you remember them because they taught you how to read, that how to do some of this stuff. So I took that and I expanded upon it, and I started educating people. I started teaching people about marketing. I started teaching people about how this stuff works, and people started to follow me. And I mean, again, I was never popular. So like now I got like 4,500 or 5,000 friends or something. And I'm like, okay. But like these people are following me and they're looking up to me because I'm teaching them things that they weren't aware of. And by teaching them, that built the trust. And now that I have trust, that's the biggest hurdle. Because it's like if people trust you, then I mean, people will buy things from you just based out of trust. They don't even need to know what you're doing, right? I've had that happen multiple times. Um, but because they trusted me, now I can open up conversations to them. And the moment that I was able to open up conversations to them, then I can get into sales conversations. Then I could talk about business. But that's the biggest thing that I would talk about is like the first thing you need to realize that, hey, I need people to trust me, right? So first things, clean up your profile, get rid of the goofy memes, get rid of the stupid stuff, the drinking picture, all that stupid stuff. Get rid of all that and position yourself as, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do. I'm not just some guy. Like I have a passion for what I do, and I live that. And once I started putting up a professional picture of me smiling, people started taking me more seriously. Once I started teaching people things, people started asking me questions. Like I didn't even have to go sell stuff anymore. People were like, hey man, I need this and I'm running into this problem, can you help with that? And I'm like, well, that's easy. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it does take time. It takes a lot of time. And I mean, I've got a salesman that I'm training up right now. And yeah, we had to train her from practically nothing and bring her up. We needed to teach her how to do posts and all of that. But yeah, you get that trust. You do whatever you can to build that trust genuinely. And that does not mean fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it is something that you can do kind of with an image, but you never fake it in your actual implementation. A little bit of a side tangent here, but that's the same thing with like coaches and the guru crowd these days, right? Because they might say, "Oh yeah, I know marketing, blah 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 blah, I'm the best," and then and I mean, geez, you probably maybe even seen it yourself. They get somebody, they get a client, then they go to this other Facebook group and they're like, hey, I just got a client paying me $1,500 a month and he wants this, that, and the other. How do I do this? You have
Wow.
genuinely know what you're doing. You're gonna have more confidence because that was the biggest thing that really struck me is, again, I don't tell a lot of people this, but my first ever sales call, it wasn't even a sales call. It was a voicemail. And I was so terrified. I was so nervous. I made up that my staff sergeant was calling me so that I can get off the voicemail, right?
Wow.
Super embarrassing.
Wow. Humble beginnings.
Humble's beginnings. But once I started learning this stuff, I gained more confidence. I started teaching this stuff more. I gained even more confidence. People started trusting me. I wasn't afraid anymore. And I wasn't afraid to put myself out there because I'm like, hey, look, yeah, I understand there's going to be some guy that's smarter than me, right? But there's always going to be somebody that's not as smart as me that I can help bring up. And once I changed my perspective to that, I mean, I was like, okay, cool. This is just a game. Let's just keep it going. Let's keep teaching people. And my brand just grew over time.
Man, there's so much I want to dissect. Wow. I don't even know where to start. So one of the things I want to point out is about that trust. People buy from brands they know, like, and trust, right? And being that you need to establish trust. Trust equals credibility. And it is
Actually, you
so
know what?
go
I'll say
ahead.
this. This is something that I learned
Mm-hmm.
because I've heard that a lot. Is
Yeah.
like people buy from brands, people buy from brands. It depends. So if it's a product, it is going to be a brand. People will
Right.
typically buy from brands. But if you're in some type of entrepreneurship, which I'd imagine
Like
most
a
of your jobs
service. Yep.
be, people buy from people.
Mm.
And, I learned this really heavily whenever I was starting to get into sales. And I'm like, man, this is the roughest shit I've ever done. But I changed one thing. I changed it from I'm going to look at people not as a sale. I'm going to focus on helping people and the money will follow.
Mm-hmm.
So if you chase money, it's like a puppy dog, right? You chase a puppy dog, he's going to think you're playing and he's going to run away, right? But if you're not playing and you kind of just sit there and you just like hold out food, which is value, then the puppy's going to come to you, right? And the money will come. And there's a Zig Ziglar quote. It's you can get everything you want in life by helping other people get what they want.
Yep.
And I changed my perspective to that. And I was myself. I wasn't putting on a show. And yeah, I'm a little bit out there. So I'm not for everybody, but the people that I clicked with, it was easy.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you pointed that out because that's so true. That you corrected me about that because you're right. People do buy from products, but then people also buy from people. Like most people buy from certain brands because of the face or the person or the persona of that brand. It's like I'm buying it just because of this person, which is why most giant companies, giant corporations, they have celebrities, musicians, artists, athletes promote their product. Like I buy because of this guy.
Exactly. I mean, like I mentioned Louis Vuitton, and it's the same thing. Like people don't buy Louis Vuitton because, oh, I need a wallet. They buy Louis Vuitton because it's Louis Vuitton.
Louis
And what comes with
Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton is, the lifestyle and the feel and the brand.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people don't really understand is you touched on this earlier about just providing value. And something that you'll see, and we've seen it a lot, is how value is always like, I'm going to, like you said, fake it till you make it. I'm going to provide enough value to the point where eventually I'm going to expect something like in return for this value. Like, hey, you
Right.
got value from me. Now I expect you to buy. But like you said earlier, if you're just providing value, people will naturally be drawn to message you, reach out to you, say, hey man, I see something that you said about so and so. Is there a way that I should be doing this differently, or can you give me your thoughts on this? And one of my friends I went to let's see, was it A school with, um been following him and we've been friends on Facebook for I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years. Not too long ago, this guy sent me a referral and we haven't spoken in years with S. And I thought about that. I'm like, why is this guy sending me a referral? He's like, dude, I just want him to be connected with somebody I trust. You provide always incredible value. The way that you carry yourself is astounding. And I think that he would be a great mentee or student of yours. And I didn't, by the way, I didn't ask. I didn't say, hey, who here has referrals for me about this? It's just like you said, when you build that trust, you build that credibility, it's so easy for your business to grow. As a matter of fact, it's like a snowball effect. The more trust you build, the more sales come in. It's like the law of I'm not gonna say it's a law of attraction, but like you said, when you chase something, it runs from you. When you attract something, it comes to you, which is why like I've heard it said like this, and I want you to touch on this as well. Money it's called currency. Money's currency. And what does a current do? It flows. So when you hold on to money, you're stopping the flow.
Oh
So
yeah.
I want to ask you, as a marketer, getting out of the Marine Corps, doing what you're doing full time, how much money and resources and currency have you spent investing in you, investing in your brand, investing in your strategies, investing in your systems? And why is it so important to take some of that money that you make from your business, from your clients, and reinvest it back into you?
So this might not be the answer that you're looking for, but I really don't spend a lot.
Okay.
Now, whenever I originally got started, so like whenever I just got out, and I don't recommend this to anybody, right? But I just got out. Now I did get my disability, right? So I had like 60%, which was like $1,000, right? That was really my only income because I was not the best at sales. Um, I made maybe one, two sales every other week, which would translate to like a few $100s in my pocket. But I would like my typical day, I would wake up at like I think like 6:30, right? I would get dressed, I'd shower, I would go to a Starbucks. And I would work out of that Starbucks until 10 p.m. And I would be on Facebook all day, all day. Um, Investing in my own brand, I never did it by paying others, because I just didn't have the resources, which a lot of people are in that same thing. However, I realized that I can overcome that by putting in the effort and the time. But you have to do things the right way. A lot of people are what I call dim lights, right? So whenever they're working, they're halfway working and they're kind of not. But and I mean I was the same way and I still kind of am sometimes. It's a struggle, right? But in order to do it very effectively, whenever you're working, you work and you focus and you do what you need to do. And you'd be surprised because a lot of people could accomplish their 8 hour workday in like 3 hours of solid focus time. And so now I tried doing that all day. And of course, yeah, I mean, it was rough, but by learning as much as I can, I asked all types of people questions. Again, I didn't know too much about marketing, but I swung around what I can. I'm like, hey man, I'll help you with this for free if you just teach me that, and a lot of trading. But just as you said, I mean, money is currency, right? And a good way that I heard about this is, um, there's not really a point in holding on the money because money is not really yours. The only person that can print and actually make money is the government, right? It's not your money, it's just your turn with it. Money is supposed to be fluid. And just as you said, if you hold on to it, you're never going to get more money. You always have to be open about it. You have to be fluid about it. And yeah, to better my brand, I mean, again, I never really spent a lot, but I borderline stalked people. Like how I broke down my original content strategy when I went from like posting just random shit to like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I stalked this guy for like a month and a half. And he was a business coach and like he was the only guy that I could really find that I'm like he's got people engaging on his stuff. So I'm like, how is he doing it? Why is he doing it? Why is it working? What is he talking about? And he was really, really leaning into the education stuff. And I'm like, so this is what I got to do, and I reverse engineered it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Hey, I've been in marketing for years and I still tell people, I'm like, hey, look, okay, you're a dog care center in Texas. Cool. What I want you to do is I want you to go look up a dog care center in LA, look at what they're doing. Cause obviously if they're able to afford LA, they're making more money than you. Right. So look at that, reverse engineer what they're doing, add your own spin to it, add your own flair to it, insert your brand to it, make it your own. Do that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with mimicry. And I think it's Picasso, but he's like great artists, like great artists come up with their own stuff, or like the best artists steal. There's nothing original anymore. So it's like you can look at other things and you can reverse engineer it. And so that's actually how I got started with my own self-learning and self-improvement. Was I would look at other people. I'm like, hey, that guy is doing what I want to do. How do you get there? And I reversed engineered it. Now, obviously, if I had money, I can save, at least 3 years of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
but
I agree with you wholeheartedly. When you're just starting out, it's going to be hard to spend the funds on, hiring a coach or hiring a mentor, hiring an advisor, right? But like you said, when you don't have the means, like one of the things that you pointed out is you saw a way that you could get what you wanted by, again, providing value. Like, hey, I can do this for you for free in exchange for you teaching me this. And the name of the game is value. Like, value at its highest level will be how your brand, your business, your services begins to speak volumes for itself. So to culminate what you're saying, I want you to kind of take me on the journey. So you left the Marines, you started doing what it is that you're doing now. And when did you find out that this is what you are really, really good at? Like, when did you know, like, you're going to place your flag in the ground here and you're going to do this until you figure it out? And then once you did figure it out, what were those challenges that you faced uphill to get into where you are now?
I would say I learned pretty quick that where it was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I wouldn't necessarily say that I discovered my purpose or I found my light or whatever. I mean, I know a lot of people they'll push that, right? And a lot of the narrative, especially, one thing I talk a lot about is how currently nowadays people are trying to just get other people to be entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurship's kind of a fad. Because you go anywhere, you look at YouTube, you get hit with ads of, oh, you can buy this business system and make all this money and do all this stuff, right? So I never necessarily was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, but I realized that, hey, this is the best thing that I've got right now. And another thing that I want to touch on is a lot of people jump into their first business as something that they love, right? Something that they have a passion for, a hobby. I typically recommend not doing that. And Gary V actually mentioned this. I don't know if he still pushes this, but he mentioned this a long time ago. He's like, the first thing that you do should be for the money. It shouldn't be the easiest thing. It shouldn't be something that you love all the time. Like, yes, find something that you can enjoy, but it should not be like, if you love working with cars, do not make your first business a mechanic, because then you have the added weight of, I have to learn how to run a business. And of course, you're going to have hurdles and it's going to be stressful. It's going to be struggling. And you don't want to make that be the reason why you no longer like cars. Because I've seen a lot of people like, look, that first business might fail, right? And you do not want to mess your passion up because you messed this up, right? So I'll tell people like, hey, do something that might align with it, but do something that will make you money. Because if you get money, then you can take that money and you can build something that you love, right? Without having to navigate the financial hurdles, without having to navigate the, how does this work? You can take the money, you can immediately implement to do something that you love. I forgot the question.
It's all good. So part of it was like, what are some of the challenges and hurdles that you faced to get to where you are, and how did you overcome some of those challenges and hurdles?
So I would say the first big challenge was learning sales.
Okay.
Like I said, I went from nothing to I mean, now I feel like I'm pretty good, but I didn't get my first real like consistent stint of sales where I'd get like a sale a week type thing for probably 2 years.
Wow.
Two, 3, maybe 4 years. Considering all of the ventures that I've ever been on, right? And I didn't get to a point that I was making a sale a day until that was like late 2019, early 2020. And I mean, again, I jumped around from sleeping on my parents' couch to sleeping on a futon to, like, I didn't have my own place. My first apartment, ironically, was a high rise in Houston on the 23rd floor. So like I made a big jump there, but it took a lot of work. And I mean, yeah, sales major hurdle. Doesn't matter what you're doing, what part of a company you're in, what you do, you have to learn sales at least on a fundamental level, because even if you're not out there selling it yourself and it's all done through funnels or ads or whatever, you need to understand, one, how that stuff works, and two, you need to sell yourself. And that brings me to another big thing. One major thing that I learned in sales is a lot of people try and sell features, but you need to sell the actual value.
Benefits. Yeah, the benefits.
Right, the benefits. So, like, for example, whenever I got my first car was a Camry, right? And the salesman's like, what is important to you? What do you like? And I'm like, oh, well, I just need a car to go A to B, blah, blah, blah. Like, I was a super easy sale, right? And then he kind of talked to me. He's like, oh, well, do you like a sunroof and this and the other? I'm like, oh, hell yeah, that sounds cool. And then he started selling me on the benefits of this stuff. He didn't talk to me about the engine. He didn't talk to me about the features of this, that, and the other, because I didn't care. I liked music and I liked wind in my hair, right? And that's what he sold me on. And once I learned that, that really changed a lot of my content. That changed a lot of my narrative. From like, because I was getting mad. I was like, why don't you want marketing? Do you not want to grow your business? Like what the hell, right?
Yeah.
But then I started doing the other benefits, like, oh, hey, if I'm taking care of your marketing, that frees up your time. Hey,
Mm.
if we get your marketing taken care of, that means that you can grow,
Yeah.
right? I do the other benefits. And once I did that, that helped me tackle a lot of hurdles.
Mhm.
Because I mean, a lot of my hurdles were all centered around sales. Um,
Mm.
I mean, once we really got into things, it was like software. So I didn't necessarily have a lot of hurdles with that.
Mhm.
It can get very intricate, but like sales was always my biggest thing. And honestly, that should be the biggest thing for every company. Because it's like,
Mhm.
look, it doesn't matter if you have the best product in the world. If you can't sell, well, what does it matter?
Yeah.
And even on the opposite, look at, was it the pet rock that I think that was in like the 80s or the 90s,
Yeah.
made millions of dollars, and it's a rock.
Yeah.
Like
It's a rock.
it's a rock. Like
Yeah. And I'm
um
so glad that you pointed out sales, because one of my like most profound guys I follow, he talks about selling is not so much of is it's convincing somebody to
let me
buy
get a water
something.
real
Yeah,
quick.
go ahead. It's not convincing somebody to buy something that you want them to buy. It's more of seeing why they want what they want for their own reasons, right? So like there was an infamous story about this guy selling a Ferrari, and he didn't sell them on the features. What he sold them on was the imagery. So
Mhm.
for example, he goes into this Ferrari dealership, cherry red Ferrari. The guy walks up to him and says, "Hey man, you want to get inside of this Ferrari?" He says, "Dude, I'd love to." So he opens the door for him. He gets in. Dude says to him, "Now imagine how this would feel if you are pulling up to your driveway across from the neighbor who always talks about their BMW, and you bag it up into your driveway. Your windows are down, the top is down, and you got the girl of your dreams to your right. Imagine how that would make your neighbor feel." He's like, "Oh, dude, I want one." And just from the imagery, the guy sold him not on how fast it goes, but he sold him on what he really wanted, which was to have confidence. Also, sometimes could be construed as clout,
Yeah.
but the girl in your arm, and then making your neighbor jealous. But it's so important that we focus on selling, because if you can't sell anything, you're gonna go out of business. It's just plain and simple.
Right.
Another skill that I think a lot of people need to master if they want to get really, really good on online space or business is copywriting. It's using words to articulate a point. So if we say, I can say two phrases and everybody knows what they are: save money, live better.
Mm.
That's copy. That's Walmart. Everybody's like, oh, that's Walmart. Expect more, pay less. That's Target. I'm loving it. That's McDonald's. It's getting words to move people and evoke an emotion that causes them to be like, I want to buy, or I'm interested in buying. So to kind of like wrap up, I want you to kind of talk about what was that highlight when you started making sales, when you hit that six-figure mark. What was that like? And kind of share why it's not necessarily the payoff, but the beauty is in the process, if you could.
Oh boy.
Because
Yeah.
I ask that because a lot of people, they get to their end goal and it's like, dude, there's no fireworks. Where's the
Right.
champagne? It's like, I thought it was going to be better than this, but it's not. So when you hit your six-figure mark, or when you started making sales, like you said, every single day, what was that like? And can you kind of talk to people about how the beauty is in the process of you becoming that person that you needed to be to do that, to get that end result?
So, I mean, whenever I first, I'll talk about whenever I got my apartment, right?
Okay.
Um, because I got my apartment, and again, one, growing up, I mean, you know, I didn't even grow up, I never grew up in a 2-story house, right? So I got that apartment, and it was absolutely spectacular, right? It was the best feeling in the world. I felt more confident. I mean, it did so much to me. But the best reward that I actually got was, just as you said, it was the journey of it all, because I became a better person through those struggles. I went through hurdles that were just hella rough, right? And I mean, even now, right? I mean, I feel that, yeah, I'm decent. I got a nice apartment. I mean, I got a cool car, but like, so in 2020, whenever I had my apartment, um, and I made a big post about this too whenever that happened. But I almost got evicted because things got really, really rough in sales during the pandemic.
Wow.
Um, and so I went from that to I was living in a hotel for 2 months. And if you go back and you look at my old lives, you'll see that I'm in a hotel. But I was in a hotel for 2 months. I mean, it was hella rough. And again, that was like late October to Christmas of 2020. So
Wow.
I effectively had to restart because of I'll just say a bad partnership. Um and then I moved over to where I'm at now. And even though I had what I wanted and I lost it, I was so grateful for the fact that I learned so much,
Mm.
because now I can do it again, but I don't have all of those struggles. You know, I can, because now that I know sales, like I can talk to people. Like, I mean, I was out with my girl and some other friends over this last weekend for Halloween, right? And I mean, we're at a bar, and like I literally just go up and I start having conversations with somebody, and she's like, I'm like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, but having those skills, the skills that you learn along the journey are the best things, because that is what will really truly help your life. The money is cool, the things are cool, but like, yeah, I have an AMG, but it's a car. You know, it's just a car. I have a nice apartment in Dallas across from the Galleria, but it's just an apartment, right? But me, the things that I have, the knowledge that I know, the steps that I know that I can take, and the confidence that it gives me,
Mm.
that can't ever be taken away. And that will help me build a better life. Because if I didn't have that, and I mean, you can look at it this way too. Look at lottery winners, right? Millions and millions and millions of dollars, waste it all, right?
Mm.
They
Yep.
have no idea what they're doing. It's all gone. And then they go back to the same life, if not worse, right? But learning the skills and the journey and what you learn on the journey is that's the reward, because
Mm.
it moves you so fast. It moves you
Man,
so fast. And it prevents you from, typically, if you pay attention, it prevents you from ever going down.
yeah. From ever going to that point, that low point
Exactly.
ever again. And that's, dude, I'm so glad that you were transparent to be, open about that, because a lot of entrepreneurs, they go through those cycles, and business owners go through those cycles where everything is good. It's like, oh my gosh, it couldn't get any better, and it gets incredibly worse. And it's like, man, I want to leave this roller coaster, but eventually it's only uphill, right? Because it's like those struggles, those trials, those tribulations, those pitfalls, those shortcomings. Those are the things that equip you to stay at that next level when you do get there, because without those failures, without those shortcomings, when they do hit you the following time, now you know what to do and what works and what doesn't work to prevent that from happening again. So, as far as your services go, um, how do you help a business owner, an entrepreneur with marketing? What exactly do you do to help them create effective marketing campaigns or marketing strategies?
For sure. So now, like I said, I mean, I switched things up a little bit, and I'm working with a good friend that I've known for a while, and we're kind of in a partnership running this. But so now we've changed things from, oh, we're just going to do this and that and this and that, and now we are a full service agency. And so one of the beautiful things about this is that we have what we call like the all-inclusive plans. Because a big pitfall that I see in a lot of marketing, especially whenever you hire marketers, is they only do this one thing or that one thing or that one thing, right? And like that one thing is cool, but whenever you're looking at digital marketing, everything pieces together. So let's say you're running an ad. Let's say you got 10 grand to drop into an ad, like just buku bucks, right? But if the website isn't squared away, then yeah, you might spend all this money on this ad, but it's going to be a fraction of what it should be doing.
Yep.
You know, let's say you're doing all this crazy stuff with SEO, but your branding and your content isn't on point. Then all the people that are going to come, they aren't going to like it, right? So all of this stuff plays a big piece. Now, with what we've been doing, like I said, we have these all-inclusive plans. And I'll be transparent, we're not the cheapest guys, but we do a damn good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we take care of just about everything that's needed for somebody. So, you know, hey, you need content, cool, we'll do that. Hey, you need SEO, cool, we'll do that. Hey, you need a new website, cool, it's included. You know, hey, we need email marketing, cool, it's included. Because whenever you have a full strategy moving together in uniform, dude, it's just like military, right? If you have everybody out of whack and out of sync, then people are going to start tripping up. But if you have every single person in step moving together, then it is the most beautiful thing. And it's perfect. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with marketing. So like we've had these new plans, wonderful results. And I mean, we've done stuff for big companies, small companies. I mean, we had a clinic. I love to tell this story because it blows my mind. I don't even know how the fuck we did this.
Yeah.
But we had a clinic that over a 90-day period, we were doing just SEO. Now, yes, they had like about 100 locations, but we brought them from, they were making, I think it was like 3 million a month in sales from like Google traffic, organically. 90 days of SEO work, we brought them to, I think it was like 15 million a month.
Wow.
I'm like,
from SEO. Wow.
Yeah, from just SEO. Like
Wow.
they were spending, so granted, they were paying us 20 grand a month and we had an 8-man team around the clock on them. But before that, they were paying another company, I think it was like $200,000 a month.
Wow.
And we did it for a tenth of the price and we got them like, it was like a 7,000% return. Like stupid.
Dude, and I would, it's crazy that you say that because I was literally just writing this morning. Because I was thinking about my content strategy and I was tweaking some things. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start teaching. I'm going to start training. One of the things that you just pointed out that helped me realize is when you have something that works, it's called a system. And the system is it saves yourself time, energy, and money. Now, if you can do that for yourself, imagine what it could do for other people. And what most people have a difficult time with is having a systematic approach to growing business. It's not easy, but it is effective. And the system and being that it saves you money, it's just like, wow, I need to do this. And one of the biggest things that you pointed out about getting, this company results for a fraction of the price is like, hey, we are good at what we do. Let us show you. And one of the things I was writing is that your results will precede yourself. You don't even have to sell your service, your product, or whatever it is, your program, or whatever it is you offer. When they see you, when I say they, I'm referring to your dream clients, your dream customers, your dream buyers. They see these results. They're like, you can't argue the facts. Mm-hmm. This is what we did. This is how we did it. And this is how we're going to do it for other companies, including you. So do you want our help or do you not? And one of the greatest lessons in that is like, people are, I guess you could say they're results hungry. They want the end goal without all the fluff. Yeah, with the effort that takes to get to the end zone. Like, do you even understand like how much time it takes to do this? Like SEO, running ad campaigns, whether it's Facebook ads, Google ads, Instagram ads, LinkedIn ads, TikTok ads. Like that is a huge part of business that most people forget about. And the fact that you can say, hey, this is the results that we've gotten for other clients. Would you like for us to get these results for you? People can't help but say, yes, I do. So in closing, I got a couple of questions I want to ask you before I get to that part. Where can people find you? how can they get in contact with you? What are some of your social media platforms, and how can people stay connected with you?
For sure. So I try to make it super easy. So all of my social media handles will be PTRKBURT for Patrick Burt. So Facebook.com/PTRKBURT. Got Instagram, LinkedIn, I mean, shit, my Snapchat's like that too. So like, everything is like that. So
Okay.
um, that'll be super easy. I honestly recommend following me on Facebook. In my cover photo, I actually have a bunch of guides of a lot of my lesson plans, which I've written out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's condensed in a little like a directory. So I've
Okay.
got that for a lot of free education. LinkedIn, I'm trying to do the same thing. But yeah, I would say definitely follow me there. And of course, you can check up our website, powerupmedia.com.
Powermedia.com. And then for somebody that wants your services, how do they like schedule a call, schedule a consultation, stuff like that?
So for sure. So best way, just reach out to me. Again, Facebook's probably gonna be the easiest thing. Unlike a lot of agencies, again, we're not the type that's just gonna be like, oh, you need this or you need that or you need this. We take every client with a hand-tailored approach. So no matter what we do, we start with an audit. And I mean, it is a manual audit. I'm not gonna lie. And it's only 250. But I mean, we do that. And with that, it's a full-on marketing thing. So I mean, we go over the brand, we go over the website, we go over the ads, we go over SEO, we go over emails, we go over, hey, here's how the offers need to be. And even if we don't get something going, you still keep that, you know? But that's what we start with, and then we tailor it from there.
Great approach. I think that's awesome because the fact that you guys can offer a tailor-fitted solution to somebody's needs and goals is perfect. And I appreciate you for sharing. So powerupmedia.com, and they can follow you on Facebook and Patrick Burt on or PTKRB.
Yeah, PTRKBURT.
Okay, perfect. And I'll be sure to put that below.
Great.
So in closing, there's two questions I want to ask you. The first one is a fairly easy one. The concept of my brand and my business is a total 180, where we help people make a transformational change, which is a complete turnaround. Where do you see your agency and your brand 5 years from now? So we fast forward November 2nd, 2027. Where do you see your agency and your brand 5 years from today?
Oh boy. So funny enough, I mean, I do have long-term goals.
Mm-hmm.
But goals change, right?
Yeah.
You want to stay fluid. So, I mean, with how things are looking at right now, we're looking at launching. We've got, I think, 2 membership platforms in the works. We've got a course in the works. And especially 5 years in, I mean, we should be able to have, like, right now we have, I think, like a 15-man team or something. We should probably be looking at like 30 people, sales office here in Dallas. Definitely a lot of things moving. And I mean, I also have some other things on the side that I, got equity in and stuff, and hopefully that should be good too. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely say we would keep along the same track. I'm really curious how to see how the social media landscape's going to change now that we got Twitter being cool again, and
Yeah.
LinkedIn actually changing things to lean into it being a sales platform versus a networking platform. And curious how Facebook's going to react to some of that stuff too, because it seems like Facebook's following in the same steps now that we got the professional mode, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for the business, I feel like we'd be doing pretty good. Hopefully, I want to be at least doing I mean, I feel like by that point we should be doing 7 figures, 7-figure months.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like that'll be too difficult to do.
Yeah. Anything less than that is just like that's a bad month.
Yeah, especially after 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So that's the 5 year goal. Have a larger agency, sales office in Dallas, and to be able to really impact many people with marketing and then your memberships and your courses. So I know that you're going to crush that goal probably within that time period or less, if we're being honest. And then the last question I want to ask you our last couple of questions is number one, if you could talk to uh the 21-year-old Patrick and kind of give him words of wisdom from where you are right now, what would you tell him if you had a 5-minute conversation with the 21-year-old Patrick?
I think the biggest things that I would talk about are probably going to be mindset focused. So I would definitely talk to myself in a way about just growing up. You have to. Okay, so this is going to be something. This might be a little bit controversial, right? So coming out of the Marines, um, it's very unique in coming out of the military, going into the civilian world, right? Especially because, like, for me, I never had a job previously. I went in at 18, I got out, right? Um, there's a lot of things that you don't learn in the military. And, in the military, you learn, hey, here's how to be tough and here's how to do perseverance and all that. But not always do you learn how to take care of yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, because at the end of the day, you're guaranteed a paycheck. You're guaranteed a warm cot and 2 meals. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have that. Hey, worst case scenario, you might be on the street. You don't
Yeah.
have that. And I would definitely talk to myself about, like, taking charge, taking accountability of things, taking control of your own life. I look at myself as somebody that, as it was told to me, I float through life,
Mm.
meaning that I don't necessarily move with intention.
Mm-hmm.
I go and I navigate around whatever happens. And
Mm.
that can be beneficial. However, you can't, if you don't have control of your own life, then you don't end up deciding where you go,
Right.
right? I would definitely talk to myself about that. I would definitely talk to myself about putting emphasis on money. Money is not necessarily something to live for, but money is a resource, and money does open up a lot of things.
Mm.
Um, I would definitely talk to myself about, like I said, mindset, the mentality of going out and getting things, the mentality of, hey, I'm not always right. Um, it's okay to ask for help. I would definitely sit down and have a conversation with myself on just believing in yourself. Is something really, really big. But remember, there's a difference between pride and ego and confidence.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will go in that pride and ego trap, and like it was kind of told to me, is like, hey, how you act when you're up determines how long you stay up, and how you act when you're down determines how long you stay down.
Mm.
And so, if you are, like, entitled, if you have a big ego, if you have big pride, like, it's okay to be prideful and it's okay to have a little bit of an ego, but you can't let that lead you.
Mm.
Another big thing I would really have a conversation with myself on is emotional intelligence. That is
Mm.
something that I feel that's something that's coming out nowadays. Like, in the last few years, more people are like, oh, what is emotional intelligence? Especially as a man, that's something that's very crucial. I see a lot of people leading their businesses with emotion, a lot of people making decisions with emotion, and that almost never ends up well. But those are probably the biggest things that I'd speak with myself off the top of my head.
Man, that's huge, man. You pointed out so many incredible things there. And last thing before we wrap up is, what would you tell somebody that is listening to this, rewatching this, replaying this to kind of get to where you want it, where you are right now? What would you tell them is pivotal in order for them to grow to the level that you are, if not better?
I would say, if I could sum it down to one thing,
Mm-hmm.
it is to keep an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I, I mean, again, whenever I was jumping into this journey, like, I was very closed-minded on a lot of things. I thought that, oh, this is the way it has to be done, blah blah blah, whatever. There is always something different that you can do. There's always a way. Or was it, if there's a will, there's a way. right? And it's 100%. And excuse me, if you keep that open mind, then that allows you to realize that, like, look, hey, nothing is set in stone. Nothing that I'm doing is the end all be all, right? That's why I said earlier, like, hey, look, go find somebody that's doing what you're doing where you want to be, and reverse engineer it, and you have to keep that open mind. Things will change, things won't work, things will break, things might go way better than expected and honestly put you in worse positions, really. Things happen. But if you keep that open mind, you can always be aware that, look, there's always something that you can do. And I mean, to piggyback off of that, it's never the end of the world, especially in business. Things get foobar real bad, real quick, right?
Yeah.
So, you have to realize that, look, that's part of the game, and failure is only failure if you quit.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really speak hard on that because, like I said, it took me probably 3 years of like living off of my disability check, to before I started actually making money that I could use. And I didn't want to quit. I never wanted to quit. And the reason why I never wanted to quit is because I knew that this is only temporary. Yes, there are times in business where it's like, hey, look, your hands are tied. Like, write that off, take your lessons, learn. But that's when I say it's only a failure, right? If it is a failure, if you don't learn anything from it, if you learn something from it, hey, look, even if your business, you went from millions and millions of dollars to nothing, right? Look at Ray Dalio. So Ray Dalio is a big, and actually, I'm gonna go get a book real quick because I want to show this book.
Yeah.
So Ray Dalio, he wrote this book called Principles.
Incredible book, by the way.
Super good book. But Ray Dalio went from being like, I mean, he multi-million, managing billions of dollars hedge fund to like nothing, right? And at that point, I mean, yeah, at that point, certain people might just like, quit everything. But he took the lessons and he started applying the lessons. And as long as you learn lessons from your failures and you get back up, you never stop. And I mean, I'll end with this because this is kind of my personal motto that I've always had. I would rather die trying than never try at all.
That's deep, bro. And I'm glad that you closed it out that way because there's really no better way to close it out. Like, if you quit, the only guarantee is that it will never happen. Whatever it is that you're trying to strive for, if you quit, the only guarantee it would never happen. So I want to just thank you for your time, your wisdom, your intellect, your dialect. It was super incredible to have you share these things with my audience, and I can't thank you enough. So I can't wait to hold you accountable to that 5-year plan. I'm gonna definitely be checking up on you, see how that thing is coming along, brother. Thank you again for your service as well, bro. And you couldn't close it out any better than that. So for one last time, for people that want to connect with you, follow you, get access to you, what are some of your social media channels that they can do that on?
So like I said, I'm just about on every single social media channel there is. My biggest ones are going to be Facebook, and I'm currently growing LinkedIn. You can follow me on Twitter, but it's a mess. But they're all going to be, at PTRK BURT.
Okay.
All platforms.
PTRK BURT. Awesome. So thanks for making it to the end of this A Total 180 interview. I'm so grateful that you got value from Patrick. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow him, connect with him on social media, and go to his website, powerupmedia.com, for more information about how he can help you power up your social media and your marketing. My name is Adam C. Scott. Again, I will catch you in the next interview. Bye for now.